week, so no need to worry that we shut the Caribbean down. But I'm here to talk about the U.S. Virgin Islands and what's going on. We actually are in a very, very good place as a destination, both from an overnight stay and a cruise stay. And I'll speak a little bit more about why we feel comfortable where we are. But more importantly, we feel great about where we're going as a destination. The first slide speaks to trending destinations, and this came up from Expedia. And as you can see on the domestic side, St. Thomas is #1 as the #1 trending destination this summer. And as you can see from the list in the United States, New York is on the list, Honolulu is on the list, Las Vegas is on the list, and for St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands to be #1 is a huge achievement for us as a destination. But more importantly, it shows how a small set of islands with a big heart can compete against the biggest and the best. Secondly, on the international side, Tokyo came out #1, and Barbados is on the list, and as well as Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. But I also want to mention that not only did St. Thomas come out #1 on the domestic side, St. Thomas came out #1 in the entire world for the summer as a trending destination. Part of the reason why we continue to trend well is our airlift continues to grow into the destination. So it's going to be hard to kind of read some of these, but we picked up extra seats on flights pretty much up and down our entire list of cities that fly nonstop to the U.S. Virgin Islands. And this is starting from Boston up in the northeast, moving through the tri-state area into Atlanta in the south, and then moving to the Midwest, out at O'Hare and Minneapolis, and of course down into Texas. We have direct flights in from Dallas and Houston into St. Thomas. We have seen an interesting little tidbit, and this is especially relative to this particular conference, CHTA. The Caribbean seems to begin moving again in terms of connectivity out of San Juan. So many of you who've been in the business a while remember when American Eagle had their hub in Puerto Rico, and it was much easier to move around. So most of us had to fly to Miami to fly back here. Back when American Eagle was around, we'd just go into San Juan, and everybody in San Juan would move us around the Caribbean. That stopped, and then we had a little period where Liat was kind of running, and then they kind of went on. But now we actually have 2 budget airlines that have moved into San Juan in Frontier and JetBlue that are now bringing crews into San Juan, running hubs, and basically the model that they're sharing with us is that they're trying to be the hub in the Caribbean. So we'll see how that plays out. It's interesting that both of them, after this long time, decided to come in at the same time. But from a destination standpoint, we are excited because the potential means that more connectivity in the Caribbean, which hopefully will lead to more Caribbean vacations in the Caribbean as opposed to just people coming from the continental US or people from Europe coming. And this is a sign of our airlines to the United States Virgin Islands. We have 90% plus of our visitors come from the continental US. So everything is generated heavily around our US carriers. We had a very interesting recent decision and award based. Both of our airports are moving into the next phase of improvement and development. The government has agreed to our Virgin Islands Port Authority to have a private-public partnership that's expected, that the bid was just awarded, $250 million plus of investments in both stations, that's St. Thomas Airport, Stuart King, and the Henry Wilson in St. Croix, where massive amounts of improvements are expected. Jetways are finally expected to come into the USVI, amongst a bunch of other improvements at the airports. This is significant, and one of the reasons why I spoke to, we are really excited about our potential in the future, because many of you who travel to St. Thomas and St. Croix, if there's always an area that we needed to sort of refresh, has been our departure lounge in our airports. So now we have a plan forward with significant commitments of investments that we look forward to having our airports be improved very soon. The second part that's really important is the award has been granted, contracts are moving forward, and as many of you know on the private side, money doesn't start flowing until they actually do the improvements. So they are incented now to get the work done. For us in the U.S. Virgin Islands, cruise has long been the backbone of our tourism product. As we were hit extremely hard during the COVID period on the cruise side, like much of the Caribbean and much of the United States. We didn't have a cruise ship for 18 months. I'm pleased to report that in 2024, we have rebounded to levels at pre-COVID. We expect to see the growth continue. We were very, very pleasantly surprised with the occupancy levels on the cruise ships. They have come back to almost near 100% across lines, which is a very, very strong sign for us in the U.S. Virgin Islands, particularly those of us that have businesses in the cruise-related businesses, excursions, etc. I think another quick aside that's important for us is we have seen, and it was touched on a little bit yesterday, occupancy levels in U.S. hotels have come off a little bit, and they've come off a little bit in the Caribbean as well. And based on our information, part of this has been the rebound of the cruise business. So people who haven't been cruising over the last couple of years have now begun cruising again. So of course they don't need to stay in resorts or places around because they started cruising again. So that's just something to keep in mind. As the cruise business continues to come back thriving, you'll start to see changes that have been in place a little bit over the past couple of years on the land side. Hotel industry update. Of course, you bring more seats into your particular destination, you have to have places for them to stay. We have been seeing an increase in our hotel properties. Our flagship property on the bottom right is the Frenchman's Reef. It used to be a Marriott. It has now changed to a Westin and an Autograph Collection. That reopened late last year. It's doing extremely well for us. We brought almost 500 rooms online, branded rooms online for the U.S. Virgin Islands. This has been a very important asset in our ability to continue to maintain our strong growth. It has also been a direct result of our competitively high ADRs that we have in the USVI relative to the rest of the Caribbean. Of course, we have several other hotels that are coming in line for the USVI. Some smaller boutique properties seem to be what's coming into the USVI right now. A lot of that has to do with space. We're tiny, so we don't have big areas that big properties can come in. We also have embraced the concept of having boutique hotels. What we've also found, people seem to be very comfortable not necessarily being in a big branded property. And we thrive in being a destination that has options for people across the board. The other part I would like to make with regards to our overnight stay is that we right now continue to have more sharing economy properties than traditional rooms and timeshare rooms in our inventory. And what back in 2018-19 we thought as a destination may have been a fad is actually staying. So Airbnb, VRBO, home away from home, the villa market is real, and people who stay in those type of accommodations continue and repeat to stay in those accommodations.